Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the GMB Union Make Amazon Pay Facebook Live event. Now, the GMB Union is one of the largest trade unions in the country, and as a general union in this pandemic, we have emerged as the voice of key workers. And right now, our precious resource are our key workers. They've put themselves at risk, getting us all safely through the most difficult of times. So it's right and proper that we stand by each and every one of them. And of course, many of those include you. Now, to those of you watching right now, thank you so much for joining us. We have some special guest speakers from around the world with us this evening, and this is an interactive event. So we really want to hear your views. Drop us a message in the chat box. But if you've got any comments about what you're hearing, and your messages to Amazon workers on Black Friday. Now, we aim to finish this event in about an hour's time. So please stick with us, get involved, send us some posts and send us some messages. Now, while there, of course, as I said, there are many key workers and GMB members out there working hard on this Black Friday, we are dedicating this evening's event to the workers at Amazon.
The health and safety record at Amazon is appalling, and the dangers from coronavirus have made it even worse. In the first few months of the pandemic, workers told us how bad the situation was inside. No social distancing, no hand sanitizer, no protective equipment. Workers have been living in fear of being infected by COVID-19. Amazon only started taking coronavirus seriously after we publicly shamed them. Now, they'd rather spend millions of pounds on fluffy TV ads than address the real problems of safety inside their fulfillment centres. With ambulance call-outs on the rise in recent years, and with hundreds of workers suffering serious injuries, enough is enough. Companies like Amazon should be treating their workers with respect, not treating them like robots. No one should be scared about leaving work in an ambulance. Join our call for a parliamentary inquiry into Amazon. Sign the GMB petition.
And here with me via video link, I'd like to introduce the GMB National Officer, Mick Ricks. Hello, Mick.
Hiya, Natalie. How are you doing?
All right, mate. Fine, thank you. So, Mick, you're the National Officer for the GMB Union. You've been working on Amazon on behalf of GMB members for the last 4 or 5 years, really hammering it home the mistreatment of workers that we've just seen itemized in that video. Why is it important, first of all, for the GMB to shout out about Amazon bad working practices?
Well, I think it all goes back to a number of years ago when Amazon was still a small business here in the UK. We started to hear some really horrendous stories of the manner in the way workers were being treated at the Swansea site. And we published a report on evidence that workers had given us, which actually became the source for a panorama news investigation. And what we've noticed over the years, the more we've started to seriously organize, talk to workers and listen to them, is that firstly, Amazon's poor safety record, its shocking treatment of workers, it's not happened by accident, it's deliberate and it's by design. Workers to Amazon are just a commodity. They think they can hire and fire and just get more people off the production line. Secondly, we firmly believe as a union that when a company is deliberately behaving in such a shocking and awful manner in the 21st century, then they need to be called out. We need to be calling them out. We need to be holding them to account. And our GMB members that work for Amazon, they expect us to do that as well. They expect us to be shouting out, supporting them and fighting for them during their working day.
Great, thank you for that insight. Really, really useful. Now, Black Friday is a really big year in the commercial year, right? And as a GMB, as a GMB officer in the Midlands and East Coast region, many early mornings have been spent on a freezing cold morning outside Amazon fulfillment centres, handing out posters, handing out flyers, and getting the message out to the workers. Like, why is Black Friday so important for the Make Amazon Pay campaign?
Well, Black Friday, firstly, originated from the United States. Amazon is a United States company. It means a lot to them. It means a lot to their sales. It means a lot to their business strategy. And but why it means so much to us is the unfortunate thing that as our researchers got better about the awful safety statistics that Amazon have, what we've been able to do is we've been able to track a lot of the accidents that take place, because these sites at this time of year, because of the build up to Christmas and Black Friday orders themselves, the accidents spike in a huge way. There's more ambulances, more broken bones that people are suffering with. You know, people don't come to work to then not go home to their families safely at the end of their shift. So that's one of the issues. And it's also a time when, you know, our campaigns, our messages, our getting out and reaching out to members is quite important. And Amazon don't like it. They don't like what we're doing. Quite often we get threatened with them. So over the years, we've joined up with other unions globally. And this year, you know, it's great to see so many social justice and organizations, environmentalists and NGOs joining the cause, which we've been doing for a few years. So it all adds to the message. It all adds to the campaign about unionizing Amazon.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, Amazon is a global company. Like, they are absolutely massive, and they're making massive impacts on everybody's lives without whether we realize it or not. So, you know, we've been campaigning really hard for the last 4 years. We've been building up the organization structure around the world.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here, Mick?
Well, I mean, you've just explained that we've been doing this for a few years now. You know, we're not new kids on the block. You know, we've absolutely been doing the hard yards on the ground in the communities, talking to Amazon workers, and as a result, our membership is rapidly increasing. You know, we have a 10-year strategy, and some people may find that quite odd. Why 10 years? Surely we should be able to do that sooner. Actually, Amazon is growing at such a rate of knots, and obviously it's employing a lot more people. So resource-wise, it is a fundamental part of the strategy to actually grow and to sustainably grow as well. So those are some of the issues. We're not going away. In fact, we'll be ramping up more activity next year, not just around some key traditional dates. We will be properly formatting them. We will be spending more money in reaching out to members, especially reaching out to those communities, because, you know, the message is coming loud and clear to us. You know, people working for Amazon, they want the GMB, they want to be unionized, they want a safe workplace, they want to be paid properly, and they want to be treated with respect and dignity. And we're here to provide that for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with all of us as GMB officials that have worked at Amazon have done press releases and gone out and spoken to local news medias on Black Friday in particular, and has come back from some of that. Amazon, when they go and get the quotes put forward, they accuse us of, stirring, basically, that we're repeating arguments about the ambulances and about the accidents and injuries and the statistics. Basically, well, fine, we're making it all up. What do you think to that? What do you say to them?
Well, you know, I think Amazon's starting to become a bit like a broken record making these claims. You know, I wish they would spend the money on making their workplaces safe. I wish they would spend the money that they make, you know, which is phenomenal amounts of money, you know, on paying their workers a proper living wage. You know, we shouldn't have to be making these claims. But everything that we've got is sourced from the public records, you know, from Freedom of Information requests to NHS Ambulance Trust to the safety authorities. Every piece of information that we've got has been properly sourced and is properly logged. You know, and I'm going to challenge Amazon here. I have challenged Amazon on numerous occasions. Come and debate with me. Come and challenge me that our statistics are wrong. And, you know, we'll do it in Parliament. We'll do it in front of MPs, and we'll see who's making false claims. Because, you know, at the end of the day, Amazon, you have the wealth, you have the power. And what you can do is start to spend that wealth and use that power wisely and start to treat your workers like human beings and not robots.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more, Mick. Thank you so much. We'll be back with you very soon, Mick. Okay. Now, to the audience out there watching live, I know there's loads of you. I can see the comments coming up. It's absolutely fab. Just want to say hello, Sue, Dawn, Alex, Stuart, Becky, Catherine. I hope you're all doing well out there on this Friday evening. Thanks so much for joining us. If you want to, oh, Stuart Perry, look, organizer from GMB Birmingham there. Solidarity with all workers. Good evening, Stuart. Now, to the audience watching live, if you can please share this, make this massive. As we said earlier, we usually are outside the Amazon fulfillment centres, making a big noise, making a ruckus, and making the fact that we can't be there. It's not, you know, it's not safe. It's not safe for us, and it's not safe for the workers there either. So please share our message, start a watch party, get it out there to all of your networks. You know, and share these messages of support. Now, we've got a fantastic lineup of speakers, as I've already said, but most importantly, in this session, which is the first one that we've done like this, we'll be hearing from Amazon workers themselves who have come forward to speak out and really bravely to do so as well. So I'm going to introduce our first speaker now. I'm going to introduce Amanda Gearing. Now, Amanda is a senior organizer of the GMB Union who has been passionately leading her team and organising rallies and protests outside one of the most dangerous workplaces in the UK, and that's Birmingham Rugeley. So, Amanda, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Natalie. Thanks for that introduction. Welcome, everybody. I hope you're all doing okay on this Friday night. I want to talk a little bit about what we've been doing in the West Midlands. So we've been tirelessly fighting to secure safer workplaces for our members in Amazon. And some of the incidents that we have come across would quite frankly be more at home in a Victorian workhouse, not a company like Amazon that is owned by the richest man on the planet. The health and safety breaches are monumental, from people being electrocuted at work, to women that have been miscarried, that have had miscarriages and then gone home on the bus after they haven't even been taken care of properly. The amount of ambulances sent to site have been excessive, more excessive than any other warehouse of the same size. The environment is so pressured as the targets get harder and harder to achieve. People have been so scared to use the bathroom facilities that they keep a plastic bottle so they don't have to stop working. It just beggars belief, to be honest. So imagine working for a company with that little concern for your health and safety, and then add in a global pandemic. It's been horrendous for our members, the stuff of nightmares. Social distancing in those fulfillment centres with that amount of people is a joke. And why, oh why, have they been allowed to continue with Black Friday and Prime Days? It's almost as if the pandemic doesn't exist in Amazon. While the rest of the country is in lockdown and businesses are going to the wall because they're forced to close, Amazon is increasing its workforce. It's unbelievable. And the increase to an already crowded centre has left people at breaking point. And don't take my word for it. Listen to what our members have to say. They're the ones facing this nightmare.
Social distancing doesn't happen.
The problem is you can have all these measures, but when you are cramming the FC with hundreds of associates to keep up with customer demand and there are orders, it's near impossible to keep 2 metres apart. I know some working areas there are team leaders and managers work together shoulder to shoulder.
You want people to come to work, not get injured and go home unhurt. But you can walk down the aisle, get hit, someone will come barging out, walking out backwards into you and get cut on. In processes such as picking and stow, I know from experience it's not going to be so easy to maintain those distances. We are looking, I have heard, approximately 1,000 heads per shift per day at the moment. You divide the floor space by that number of bodies and see how many feet you get left with. It is getting a joke.
So you can see there from that video and in our members' own words how difficult it's been for them at this time. These fulfilment centres are filled to bursting. And like I said, at a time when other companies are forced to have rotating workforces as they have less workers in at any one time. If you check on Google Maps today at the Rugeley site, you can see it for yourself. The massive car parks are full to bursting with cars. And if you look outside on the roads, people are having to park their cars out there as well. This doesn't take into account the people that are taking their lives into their own hands and being crammed into buses that Amazon provide to arrive there. The workforce has been increased by about 2,000 workers. That makes about 5,000 workers in that fulfilment centre. And cleaning should be part of every workplace risk assessment at this time. It's essential. It should be a given that equipment that's shared should be cleaned, but it isn't. It's that pressure to meet the demand of these sales. If you go on a break, they put someone in using the same equipment as you and it's not cleaned. There's no time for cleaning. In Coventry, in a department that would have been easy to stop a spread because it was, an isolated group of workers, there was 1 or 2 people testing positive and the management didn't deal with that. They didn't allow people to self-isolate. There was no deep cleaning taking place in that area. And even though it was reported to the Public Health Coventry that they said they had a strict regime, it wasn't until we got involved that they filled the empty hand sanitizers in the toilets. That's how bad it was. And at the last count, 70 colleagues had tested positive on the night shift. Some of our members are in hospital. Our members are scared. They know that cleaning should be part of the virus, keeping the virus out, but only the GMB can amplify their voices. To add to that situation, Amazon is refusing to use the NHS track and trace system. They told us that they've got their own system. So we've pushed them on this. We said, what system are you using? And they said that when somebody tests positive, they watch them on CCTV to see who they've come in contact with. That's an absolute joke. How can you watch 70 people on CCTV that work about 50 hours a week? And then let's bear in mind they'd have to go back about a week before people were actually got their positive test. So you can see this is just impossible and it's not happening. And when we look at the money thing as well, when this all kicked off, they had the opportunity to have less people working in those centres, just send out perhaps essential goods. But they decided that they wasn't going to do this. And instead, they decided to say to workers, the more hours that you work, then we'll pay you an additional £2 on top of your hourly rate. We christen this danger money because that's exactly what it was. And they only paid this until the end of May. And then they decided that, workers, it wasn't dangerous for workers to continue to work, even though we know that the numbers are still rising even today. And that money's disappeared. And what I'm going to say to you is, today, Amazon have released a press release saying that they're paying all their workers a £300 bonus. And so they should. But if you work out how much they'd have been paid if they continued to have got that £2 an hour since May, it would have been a lot more than £300. Let me tell you that. It's an absolute disgrace. And if you think about it, if Jeff Bezos, the CEO, paid every worker the equivalent of £78,000 each, he would still have the same amount of money he had before the pandemic, which is much more than he could ever spend in a lifetime. So that just shows you £300 peanuts for what our members have been having to put up with. And we've tried in vain to talk to Amazon managers locally so that we can work with them to resolve the issues, to make these places safer to work, but they just don't care. Workers are just a number and replaceable to them. The only chance we have is if workers join forces with the GMB. We know how hard it is to do that. Every time I go on the car park to talk to workers, I get a letter from their very expensive lawyers. They even stalk my Twitter feed. I've had lawyers' letters sent to me with pictures of me doing speeches from my Twitter feed. Now that's scary, isn't it, to be honest? But it won't deter us. We're the GMB, the only union that is there for workers in Amazon, and we won't be intimidated. We will make Amazon pay.
Thank you, Amanda. That was thank you very much for your insight, and you know, you've been an absolute champion campaigning for Amazon workers in and around Birmingham, and long may it continue. So thank you very much. Our next speaker is Steve Garlick from the GMB London region. And he has sat in many representation meetings with GMB members, because that's part of what comes with being a GMB union member. You have somebody there that's able to attend these disciplinary meetings with you and fight your corner in difficult circumstances. So he's got some really to-hand expert knowledge, and he's just going to cover that now. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Natalie. Good evening to everybody. So pleased you could join us on what is a very important day. Obviously, we can't get out to the workplace, so we can get out to you in your homes, workplaces, and spread the love. What drives people to work at Amazon? Well, I think partly it's because of the big name, and also there's an expectation that such a large organisation would treat their workers with dignity, respect, and look after them. But Amazon workers soon learn what kind of an employer they work for. I've represented countless Amazon members who've been injured at work or have mental health impacted by working for the company. And honestly, I'm highly concerned about some of these practices. And it's a good job we're there to represent them and protect them with GMB Union. Amazon's policies quickly turn to health reviews, and when you get to a health review, they suddenly become a disciplinary matter without the workers being informed. Managers take on both investigation and disciplinary roles, which is completely inappropriate and fair to the workers. They're hardly going to turn around on their own decision, after all. It's a ridiculous situation. And in several cases which we've had thrown out, a member had an accident, a member raised a complaint, as is their right, but instead of management supporting them and dealing with the issue and the cause of the accident, they deliberately made the life of the worker much more difficult. And in this case, the end result was that the grievances that the member has brought in have been totally ignored and the management have been exonerated. In my opinion, a company uses what I call a management playbook, a quick and efficient yes or no flowchart to control situations that work only in Amazon's favour. The problem is that though they're dealing with this on a management basis of yes and no, they're dealing with people, not just flowcharts and not just robots. And that's how they're getting it so wrong. Let's take a look at these clips from Amazon members.
Amazon puts the customer before the associate. It seems to have forgotten one of the key things with any industry or business, that the business is only as effective as its employees. Management just want you to pick the item so they can get it out the door quick enough so it looks good on them.
Managers are being sent home who test positive, but other managers that they've been standing next to all day or have been in meetings in small offices with other managers are not sent home.
Amazon needs to get off its high horse and value its associates. Be treated as humans, not as slaves or robots, as we get treated. We are treated unfairly at times, but with the union, there we can be treated better.
You're back, Steve.
Thanks so much
No
for
problem.
looking in on those videos. Look, as many GMB union members know, things go off the rails when an associate takes their union in to meetings, and those conditioned yes and no responses are called out by a GMB representative, such as Amanda or myself. When HR start asking questions in disciplinary meetings, which are not ACAS best practice, and managers realise they can't just do whatever they want, it's empowering our members to know that we're coming to the meeting and they know that GMB unions got their back and hopefully getting them a positive result. Amazon will tell the media, their staff as well, that there's no need for a union. There's no need for unions in the workplace. Unions are a bad thing. It's a great place to work. And the only reason all unions are seeking access is to shore up their own funds to grow their membership, which is a very, very common claim. My answer to this is, why would I be attending meetings on behalf of members if everything was so rosy in the garden? Why are Amazon workers all around the world organising, protesting and speaking out, as we've seen today, on a huge scale? The longer that Amazon ignores the workers, their unions, the worse their reputation becomes in this instance, and they need to spend millions on preparing their damaged reputations with things like television adverts. And I'll get to that now. Before the pandemic, Amazon were conducting tours around the facilities to give a heavily sanitized view of their operations. And of course, we've all seen the TV adverts Amazon are forced into producing in the commercial sense in both the United Kingdom and the USA due to GMB and sister unions calling them out. We've asked our members whether they agreed with the ad, like Donna's cake videos, and those said they had a very, very different experience of how the work experience was at Amazon. No amount of money spent on PR exercises will stop the workers from speaking out. The GMB aren't going away, as there's too much at stake for the workers at Amazon. So when you next see the commercial, take those cakes with a pinch of salt. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks so much. It's really, it is really interesting, and Mick picked up it at the beginning, that Amazon value their public image so highly that they spend millions of pounds on this PR campaign. But interestingly, as you said, this is only something that is being shown in the UK and America. Our sister unions in Europe aren't seeing this advert, and it's a direct tactic from Amazon to try and just to try and debunk any sort of claims that we might have. Now, and I'm sure that you would agree, along with me and Mick, that those millions of pounds would have been much better spent in the pockets of our members and the pockets of Amazon workers. So thank you very much, Steve. Cheers. Thank you. So speaking of supporting Amazon workers, you out there watching, yeah, I can see you. I can see those comments coming up. There's some absolutely fabulous ones that have been happening. I've got Phil Soper on the screen in front of me. Hi, Phil. So Phil's the president of the Midlands and East Coast region. So I just thought I'd give him a very big shout out from my home region. Great to see you here. We've also seen Nadia Whittam, MP as well, Solidarity Sister. Thank you so much. yeah, absolutely fantastic social media presence that we've got on here today. It's been all over Twitter as well, if you've not spotted it. The hashtag make Amazon pay hashtag, and the hashtag make Amazon workers are not robots has been trending all day. It's been absolutely massive because this is a worldwide hashtag that we've been taking up. So you can show your support further for them. You know, we with the GMB for a number of months now have been calling for a parliamentary inquiry into Amazon. I mean, you can hear some of the bits and pieces that we've been putting forward, but this is literally scratching the surface on what it is that we have been uncovering. You know, so please head over to the GMB website. I think somebody dropped it. I think Jack will be able to drop it into the public chat, so you'll be able to go and share and sign it. You know, it's going to take every single tactic and measure that we can come up with to take on Amazon. Now, I'd just like to take a moment to thank our Amazon members who have come forward to take part in those videos. I really, really cannot overstate the risks that they are taking, coming forward and speaking out, because this, you know, Amazon is a global monster. And in a moment, I'm going to be introducing our next group of speakers. We've got some absolutely fabulous people from around the world coming and speaking. But you know, it's very, very important just to mention to you all, though, that although it is union organisers that are up on here, is the power of the workforce that is really going to make a difference here. So the more members that join the GMB here in the UK, the more Amazon workers that we get, the stronger that we're going to be able to tackle this company. Now, and thousands of workers, just like you guys out there, really do have a chance of getting each other through this crisis if we make and take those stands going forward. And you know what? Companies like Amazon are absolutely terrified of you figuring that out. Now, I spoke to a really unusual guest this week, who told Amazon workers what to do if they needed help getting a union. And here it is.
Work at Amazon and I'm worried about my working conditions. What can I do about it?
You should join the Union for Amazon Workers. The GMB Union gives you a voice and respect at work. You can join online at www.gmb.org.uk.
Bowie, my colleague in Midlands and East Coast region, who's helped us to put that little tongue-in-cheek video together there. So, but you know, how do people, as Alexa said there, how do people get involved and how do people join? Just head over to the website gmb.org.uk/join. It's never been more necessary or urgent to be a union member, and the GMB are there campaigning, fighting the good fight, and you know, really putting Amazon on its back for you. So our next speaker, I'm going to just introduce Owen Esplay, who is the Senior Economic Justice Campaigner from War on Want. Hi there. Hi. Now, he leads their Workers' Rights and Corporate Accountability campaign. And War on Want, if you've never heard of it before, they fight for the root causes of poverty, fight against the root causes of poverty and human rights violations. So thank you so much. Off you go, Owen. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much. War on Want is really proud to stand alongside all the GMB members at Amazon and everyone inside the Make Amazon Pay coalition. The struggle against Amazon that workers and communities around the world are waging will define the economy of the 21st century. And Amazon is growing more powerful every single day. It is seeking to dominate the strategic infrastructure of the 21st century, the online shopping portal, the web servers, and the logistics chains that connect us all. It wants to dominate in these areas in pursuit of monopoly profits. And the pandemic has highlighted how broken that profit-hungry system already was. The pandemic has highlighted the imbalance of power that insecure contracts and lack of unions create, where workers are unable to enforce health and safety standards. In Bangladesh, it has highlighted the unjust imbalance of power between buyers and suppliers that has meant Amazon could refuse to pay for finished orders, leaving garment workers in the lurch. And of course, it's highlighted the inequality that Amazon's business model creates and how that inequality differentiates on the basis of race, gender, and migration status. But the pandemic has also highlighted that things that we have previously thought were impossible are actually possible. Even if we've not won it yet, it's shown us that it is possible for more of Amazon's wealth to go back to the workers and community where it operates. Because they've shown us by paying an extra £2 an hour that it is possible. So even as the pandemic has heightened our sense of injustice and inequality, the lesson we need to learn from the pandemic is that things can and do change, that workers can be rewarded for hard work. In the UK, it's also highlighted that it is public services, not outsourced services, that we can depend on. It's highlighted the value of so much essential work, and it has highlighted what counts is our ability to support and care for each other. We do not live in a stable, predictable world. An unstable climate has already made sure of that. But we can come together to meet each other's needs. We can change the value our society gives to different types of work. The last 24 hours have been so incredibly inspiring in the Make Amazon Pay Coalition. Actions from call center workers in the Philippines, garment workers in Bangladesh, thousands on strike in Germany and elsewhere, and let's recognize that many of them are migrant workers, community groups, trade unions, human rights, environmental, racial justice, and tax justice groups all coming together. We have used technology to feel together as one, even as we keep our physical distance out of the care we feel for each other. And so if the battle over Amazon's growing power will determine the economy of the 21st century, then how we build our own power to oppose it must prefigure the world we want to create, one where we come together and prioritize the needs of the people and the environment, not profit. Because it is only together that we can, only together that we will make Amazon pay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Owen. That was really interesting. Absolutely great to have you on. We've got a lot of love for you and War on One coming off on the chat bots. Yeah, and we're also seeing some extra things coming in, such as Simon Day saying that he signed the petition. It's all about reaching out to people and giving people the knowledge and the platforms that we can. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on board and taking the time to speak to us all this evening. For those of you out there watching as well, it'd be absolutely smashing as well if we can start sharing this out a little bit more. All you gotta do is click share at the bottom of the Facebook tab that you're watching, and you'll be able to cast it out and share it with all of your friends, because we're all pretty much in lockdown here in the UK still. So what better thing is there to do than join in a Amazon rally? Our next speaker is Holly Harrison Milan, and she's a community organizer at Amnesty International. Hi there, Holly. Now, Amnesty International, they work to protect people wherever justice, freedom, truth, and dignity are denied. And that's certainly something that we come across within Amazon. So I'll hand over to Holly. Thanks.
Thanks. Being able to join a trade union is a human right. I shouldn't even need to repeat that, but I will, because bosses at Amazon don't seem to have heard, and we all know that they love to listen in on Facebook events by unions. And that's why we at Amnesty have been investigating Amazon. I'd like to thank everyone at GMB for inviting me here today and for the evidence that you provided, the report that we've put out today, Amazon, Let Workers Organise. For that report, we gathered evidence about how Amazon operates internationally. We heard evidence from Poland of Amazon reprimanding a worker just for talking to her colleagues about their union and for leaving her post to go to the toilet. We heard evidence from France that the courts needed to step in just to make Amazon communicate with their workers' union about coronavirus risks. We heard evidence from the USA of Amazon spying on the private Facebook groups set up by workers, even though the International Labour Organization guidance states that workers should be informed in advance and give explicit consent before their bosses are allowed to try to gather data about them from third parties like Facebook. And it will come to no surprise to anyone here that we heard evidence from the UK of Amazon monitoring the social media profiles of union organisers and sending repeated legal threats to organisers just trying to do their jobs. Amazon accidentally explained the reason for this in a training video they created for managers at Whole Foods, which they own, and which was leaked to the public. In it, the company says they're not anti-union, but not neutral either. A company that disciplines workers for talking about unions, that spies on workers, and that went as far as trying to hire an intelligence analyst to monitor risks, including labour organising threats, sounds pretty anti-union to me. Dealing with anti-union companies might not be new to anyone here. Trade unionists know that workers' rights are not given from on high by compassionate companies. They're won from below by workers organising and building their own power. But I do want to highlight just how out of step this is with the principles of international human rights. The ILO, which is a specialised agency of the UN, has a declaration on fundamental principles and rights at work. In it, it says that the guarantee of fundamental principles and rights at work is of particular significance in that it enables the persons concerned to claim their fair share of the wealth which they've helped to generate. I'd like to know if anyone at all, really believes that Amazon workers, their warehouse staff, their drivers, their agency staff get a fair share of the wealth that they've helped to generate. Does Jeff Bezos really contribute so much that he deserves to be the richest man who's ever lived, and a warehouse worker contributes so little that they don't even deserve to get a say when it comes to protection from coronavirus? So that's why Amnesty are looking at this, and why we're going to carry on supporting comrades in the trade union movement in their fight for workers' rights. In our findings out today, we also include some demands for Amazon. We're calling on them to refrain from anti-union discrimination or acts of interference against worker organisations, to ensure that workplaces, tools, machinery and processes are safe, to provide generous and flexible work, sick leave and sick pay packages, to cease all collection of electronic data of employees that has been gathered without their explicit consent, to ensure the privacy of workers is respected, including in relation to their trade union membership, and to ensure that the human rights of employees, including the right to freedom of expression, and that means criticism of internal policies, is respected. So I want to say thank you for having me today, and I'm really looking forward to carrying on this struggle with you all.
Oh, thank you so much, Holly. Absolutely brilliant to have you here with us today. So we're just going to move on to a video now, which has been put together by Progressive International. Hope you enjoy.
I'm very proud of the culture that we have at Amazon.
A former worker at Amazon's Swansea warehouse has told BBC Wales the staff are treated like robots.
If you're giving a great customer experience, the only way to do that is with happy people.
Workers are so pressured to meet targets that they're forced to urinate in bottles.
Les quotas qu'exige ce manager, c'est de faire 260 colis par heure. Pour cela, nous parcourons 30 km par jour dans cet entrepôt grand comme 10 terrains de football.
You can't do it with a set of miserable people, watching the clock all day.
With a computer tracking her pace per package down to the second.
11 seconds was the goal.
Is that hard to meet?
Yeah.
I like to use the phrase work-life harmony.
For staff, it means no guaranteed set hours or job security and shifts that can be cancelled at the drop of a hat.
You go in and then they say to you, don't come in tomorrow. So there's 10 hours I've lost.
I don't believe that we need a union to be an intermediary between us and our employees.
Amazon remains non-union, in part by training its managers how to handle union efforts, like in this video.
We do not believe unions are in the best interest of our customers, our shareholders, or most importantly, our associates. You will learn about the warning signs most commonly associated with early union organizing.
Factories in Bangladesh with documented unsafe conditions, in theory, should be barred from accessing much of the US and European retail markets. But many have found a back door through Amazon. The Toddler Top, the journal traced from Amazon, was made at a Chittagong factory called Riverside Apparels that has been banned by the Accord for unsafe conditions.
Let me assure you, this is the best planet, and we need to protect it.
Amazon employees say the company has threatened to fire some of them for publicly pushing the company to do more about climate change.
Billionaires have seen their net worths soar despite the coronavirus pandemic.
Amazon has reportedly confirmed it's going to stop paying its warehouse workers that extra $2 an hour in coronavirus hazard pay.
88 workers tested positive at an Amazon warehouse.
I'm incredibly proud of the safety record of our sites.
This is the inside of an Amazon distribution center in northern France. As you can see, at this warehouse, there are no protective measures, and staff are crowded into this one room.
In the business world, Amazon is one of the big winners of the coronavirus crisis.
Paid no federal income tax on more than $11 billion in profits.
Executive stock options are allowing them to pay zero federal income tax.
$1.25 billion taxpayer dollars have been given to the tech giant in the form of government incentives.
We want Amazon to respect us, to listen to us.
You have no place in India and we will not let you here.
But in France, a dispute with workers over safety conditions at their warehouses has seen the company shut down operations here.
They took Amazon to court on health and safety grounds and won.
You're going to be standing out here until we get a solution.
Well, I think everybody that will have viewed that video would have seen the many contradictions that Jeff Bezos put forward. I think there's no greater contradiction than him saying that, you know, people should be in harmony at work, and yet so many countries around the world are saying that it's such an unsafe place to work. Targets are unrealistic, and of course they've become very world class at a number of things, and one of them is tax avoidance. They pay very little tax in the countries that they're there, and I want to thank Progressive International for that fantastic video capturing a number of voices, the growing voices globally around the world. And I want to thank the other organizations that have partnered up with the trade union movement across the globe today. Amnesty, War on One, Greenpeace, Oxfam, lots of organizations. And I really want to thank you for your efforts in helping everybody to get this collective message out there. I just want to say a quick hello to Constance from Monday, who's sent in a message. Monday is is one of the leading trade unions in Ireland, and we've worked together quite closely on this project. How are you doing, sister? And you know what I also want to say is that, you know, GMB is one of the founder unions of the Global Amazon Alliance of Trade Unions. You know, I remember when we first met a few years ago, there was about 4 or 5 trade unions in a room. You know, it's now grown to 5 continents of trade unions meeting regularly, campaigning, and now we're meeting with many of the social and environmental activists that have got some fantastic messages. And I just want to introduce 2 phenomenal people who I have known I've had the pleasure of knowing for quite a number of years. I'm not going to say how long, because I don't think any of us want to give our age away. But, you know, they embody a lot of the values that many of us believe, that, you know, global problems absolutely need global solutions, and that to have those global solutions, we have to have global solidarity. between trade unions, social activist groups, NGOs, consumers, and also the vendors that are taking place. And there's no bigger crisis that's taking place at the moment than Amazon starving countries of tax, which in the midst of a pandemic need those taxes to spend on health services. So I'm pleased to introduce Steve Cotton, General Secretary of the ITF, and then Christy will be coming on afterwards, who's the General Secretary of Uni Global. And I am so looking forward to what you've got to say today, both of you. I know you're great leaders of our world movement. You're tenacious trade unionists, you're inspirational, and you provide absolutely great leadership. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule today.
Well, thanks, Mick, and thanks everyone. And what a fantastic turnout. I've been reading the chat, and thanks for coming out on a Friday night. But I think the message is very, very strong. This is Black Friday, and we're using that opportunity to scream out globally that the system is fundamentally broken. When you've got a company like Bezos, and I sit and watch that great video and my blood boils, and the reflection that there is an organization worth $1 trillion and a man there who has personal wealth of 200 billion. Yes, 200 billion. How can that be acceptable in 2020? And as the video says, his money is built on the back of a pandemic that's forced the working men and women inside Amazon to work no guarantees, more and more hours, and bending and breaking the rules. And brothers and sisters, that can't be right. 2020. And if you read the comments, doesn't matter which part of GMB, they put on a campaign. Nick and the team, Christy, fantastic leader, been driving campaigns on a number of levels against Amazon. But ultimately, this coalition is as simple about what is right or what is wrong. And it is unacceptable that Amazon can make so much money for individuals on the backs of working men and women. And this demand to respect human rights in the workplace, respect health and safety, government laws is utterly critical that they're enforced. And they're listening to Jeff Bezos there talking about the climate, the irony of the man. The reality is his growth of short-term fixes, last mile deliveries, incentivizing cheap deliveries on the back of working people. It's totally unacceptable. On behalf of all other global union federations, and we're all in coalition on this, we demand that we make Amazon pay. Mick mentioned tax. How are we going to fight our way out of this COVID crisis? Not on the back of individual workers paying more tax, but corporations putting their hands in their very deep pockets and paying more and more to fight back. So for us today, we had the pleasure, Christy and I have been a bit of a double act. We're on with our friends in Sweden, and many of us in the labour movement are envious of what the Swedes have. And they'll be working to organise Amazon in all of the elements of its fulfillment plants. They look like warehouses to me, to be frank. But the reality is we have a global movement. And 2020, 2021, we've got to hold Amazon accountable. And we want people to sign that petition. And ultimately, brothers and sisters, we want to make Amazon pay. So thanks, Mick, and all of the wonderful panel for the opportunity. The ITF and its 20 million workers are determined to hold Amazon accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. And as you know, GB is a proud affiliate with ITF, and we're also a proud affiliate with Uni Global. And Christy, our next speaker, again, I've had the pleasure of working with for a number of years, and I know you've been busy doing the rounds today with Stephen, speaking in different countries on this fantastic day of Make Amazon Pay, and I'm so pleased to have you along, Christy. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you, Mick, and great to see you today, this Friday night. It's been a really fantastic day today when you think about all the groups and workers that have come out around the world to show solidarity. You know, this Black Friday, it's a bittersweet moment because biggest shopping day of the year in the U.S. As you can hear from my accent, I'm from the U.S. It's the official start of Christmas shopping season. It's always kind of a fun day if you're a consumer in the U.S., but it's also what we expect to be the kickoff of brutal working conditions for Amazon workers, and made in any event very difficult, and made doubly difficult because of the pandemic. We are living through a pandemic. And as the organizer, the sister said earlier, how can we have Black Friday and Prime Day during a pandemic? We have lived through this pandemic with Amazon workers, hearing their stories about how dangerous. GMB has been very vocal early and often about the danger in these warehouses. But we have heard them from every country, even where there are unions, taking them to court, as you heard about France, 11-day strike in Italy, big fight in Spain. This has been a battle, and it will only get worse now because of the extreme amount of shopping that's done during this next month or so. So we have to really be out there and vocal and calling this out, because it is a potentially very deadly environment. Now that's let me stick on health and safety just for a bit more. I also want to say that apart from the pandemic and social distancing and the production quotas, we hear from Amazon all the time that robots are designed to actually make it easier for workers. You don't have to run around. The worker brings you the part and so on, and you don't have to run around, and it's easier. But a big report just came out a few weeks ago in the United States that looked at all the Amazon warehouses in the US and found that the more robots, the more injuries there are. The number of robots goes up and the injuries can, multiply. So this is worthy. Your demand for a parliamentary investigation on the scope and the scale of the health and safety issues in Amazon, I'm 100% behind that. I know you've called for that. I think it's absolutely critical that we take a very close look at what's happening inside these warehouses, both through the pandemic protections, that issue, the production quotas, but also the impact of robots. Now, I just want to say, great day so far. We want to celebrate that what we've accomplished. Nick's shared with you the groups that are on board here, all our global unions, including, the ITF. We've joined in our allies because we can't really win against Amazon on our own. We need a big coalition to win against a power like this. But early in Australia, you had UNI and ITF affiliates, SDA and the transport workers unions coming together to protest around Amazon warehouses there. And then, moving to the Philippines, the call center workers, that's one of our areas, and they've been working on the Amazon ring. They are protesting. Garment workers in Dhaka, beautiful pictures of all the women protesting against Amazon for unsafe conditions. And then as you move into Europe, you see Verity workers out on strike today. And as we go west further, we're going to be seeing more. We're getting some pictures in now from Seattle. Look, we're going to project our message onto Amazon buildings and around the world: Sao Paulo, Hyderabad, Seattle, Berlin, and at Jeff Bezos's mansion, the most expensive home in DC. So, are they feeling the heat? Well, I don't think it's a coincidence that last night they announced they're going to spend $500 million on bonuses in the coming weeks, but that's really nothing. That's a $300 or £300 one-off payment to workers. That doesn't add up to enough to, it's insulting almost that it's so small. We can't let this digital giant control our commerce, infrastructure of our information, our data. We can't let Amazon avoid paying its fair share of taxes, the cost of recovery, and we can't let them refuse to negotiate with unions impose inhumane production quotas on workers and push small businesses to the brink of collapse. And then that last area about small businesses, that's another area where we need more regulation, more engagement by legislators. We are in a critical moment right now where governments are recognizing the risk of big tech dominance. You saw earlier this month that the EU competition commissioner announced that the EU is bringing charges against Amazon with potential penalties of about 10% of their global turnover. Well, in the United States, in October, a big U.S. House, which equivalent to the U.S. Parliament, issued a 450-page report. Amazon was a big part of that report. And this report confirmed what many already say. Amazon exploits sellers, and that enabled by its market dominance, and it raises big competition concerns. In particular, they have monopoly power over many small and medium-sized businesses that don't have another option when it comes to selling products online. And they say that they're third-party sellers, but their internal documents call them internal competitors. Because Amazon owns the marketplace. Once you enter their ecosystem, you have no ability to negotiate. If you want to sell your product, you play by the Amazon rules. When it comes to pricing, when it comes to delivery, they can create your product from the drop of a hat and undercut your prices. So it's like if you are a football team, but the only other team that you can play makes the rules, owns the stadium, and even hires the umpire. That's not a fair shot. So bottom line is Amazon should not be allowed to own the platform and sell their own products on the platform against the sellers who are forced to give all their data to Amazon. And this is an area of, where we as Uni have been engaged. We think it's important that workers have a voice in this question, that it is, that we cannot have a healthy democracy, a healthy economy with monopoly power like this. So that's why we call to break up Amazon, because the platform shouldn't also be the seller. Look, I want to say we're going to keep up the fight. I know all of you are going to keep up the fight. I love hearing your stories and experience of Amazon in the UK. It's been a really great session for me. So thanks, everybody. We're all going to together make Amazon pay.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Christy. And I mean, you've both, you and Stephen, given such an insight into the powerful approaches of Global Alliance, and I really want to thank you for that. And thank you also for the support in calling for the UK government to call a parliamentary inquiry into Amazon as well, which is badly needed and follows on with what the European Commission are now calling for, and also the US American Congress. So thank you for taking valuable time out today. You've been absolutely smashed out, appearing across the globe. And now I'm going to hand you across to our Natalie.
Thanks, Mick. Thank you so much, Christy and Global Union. We do actually have a video which was sent to us earlier today. So I'm just going to hand to Jack to play that. Thanks.
Il faudrait déjà commencer par respecter les salariés, arrêter ce système de cibler des salariés faibles économiquement, arrêter de proposer de l'argent pour les salariés, les considérer comme des pièces de rechange. Un salarié défectueux, je le change, j'en mets un autre. Et déjà, ça ira beaucoup mieux.
Ich habe so viele Leute kommen sehen, gesund zu Amazon kommen sehen, die ich jetzt nach ein paar Jahren praktisch, die schon die zweite, dritte Operation schon hinter sich haben, wo man auch wirklich sagen muss, die Gesundheit, also das steht nicht dafür. Also dieser Druck, der da ausgeübt wird, mit allem drum und dran, also wenn man bedenkt, man kommt gesund in eine Firma und verlässt sie in der Regel kaputt wieder. Als Mensch.
Thank you so much, Uniglobal, for that excellent video. It's really, really inspiring to see so many workers around the world organising and organising on protests. Now here in the UK, we have to organise on the inside. Anti-trade union laws very, very strict in this country as to how it is that workers can actually protest and walk out, as many people put it. So it's really, really important that we organise, that membership gets built within these Amazon warehouses, and that is basically the basis of what it is that we're trying to do here. It's all about us being here and trying to show our support in as many different ways as possible. Now, speaking of showing your support, again, it's that time for a call again. We need the help of you guys out there watching. I've seen some comments coming up. I've got a message from Jenny Vaughan. She's asked if she can share this video. Yes, you can, Jenny. Yes, share it everywhere. Share it everywhere. I want it up and out everywhere. Johnny Wilkinson and Alex are both posted to say that they've signed the petition. That's awesome. Be like Johnny and Jenny and Alex. Sign it and share it, and use the hashtag #MakeAmazonPay. Just join in the global action that we've got going on here today. If you haven't come across that petition yet, I'm sure it's going to get dropped back into that chat bot again. Now it's all about the JMB calling for a parliamentary inquiry into Amazon. You've heard so much information from us here tonight, and it really is just scratching the surface. So please take the call and go in and share. But we have reached out to some MPs already. As somebody asked earlier, what do our own elected officials feel about this? So yeah, thankfully some of them have come forward and done some videos for us tonight. So we're going to play that now. Thanks.
Hello, my name's Nadia Whittam. I'm the Labour Member of Parliament for Nottingham East. And I wanted to express my full solidarity with Amazon workers in the GMB union who are calling for an inquiry into Amazon's conduct. The CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, is the richest man on earth. He has more wealth than the whole of Iceland, Tunisia, Jamaica, and Estonia combined. But his workers have to fight for even their most basic rights. In the past 3 years, ambulances have had to be called to Amazon warehouses over 600 times. Meanwhile, the company is refusing to recognise or even meet with the union. No one should be treated like this. We must fully support Amazon workers in their struggle for safety at work, for union recognition, and for a parliamentary inquiry into the conduct of one of the world's most powerful companies. I stand with you.
Workers have a right to be treated with respect, for their voice always to be heard. But here at Amazon Rugeley, we've got 2,000 workers, many of whom have been treated shamefully. The shocking statistic that 115 times ambulances have been called out to this site. I suspect it's almost as bad as those who built the pyramids. That cannot be right. They have a right to be treated with respect, for their voice to be heard, for their union to be recognised, the GMB. I urge Amazon to behave like any decent employer in the 21st century and not like a 19th century mill owner refusing to recognise the union.
Working people are getting us through this crisis, but while they're making huge sacrifices, labouring on low pay, a wealthy few are making a killing. Amazon's owner Jeff Bezos has seen his wealth soar. It's up $66 billion since the start of the pandemic. In a single day, he got $13 billion richer. He could give every single Amazon worker a bonus of $105,000 and he would still be as rich as he was in March. But while Amazon grows and it accelerates climate breakdown with rising emissions, its skyrocketing profits aren't matched in its tax bill. Last year, Amazon's UK profits went up by 35%, but its tax went up by just 3%. And it's not just tax Amazon is cutting, it's workers' rights too. Treated like robots, forced to meet grueling demands, and often made to work in unsafe conditions. Billionaires like Jeff Bezos exist because working people are exploited. As the Labour Member of Parliament for Coventry South, I join workers, the GMB Union, and campaigners across the world to say it's time we made Amazon pay. It's time it paid its fair share of tax. It's time it paid workers a fair wage. And it's time we held Amazon to account with a parliamentary inquiry into its conduct. Solidarity.
Thank you so much there for Nadia, Jack, and Zara's posts. It's really, really excellent that we're starting. That we've got these MPs leading the way and backing our calls for a parliamentary inquiry. But of course, there are hundreds of MPs out there that we need to reach out to. And Amazon has got so much power even with our own government. The amount of contracts and things that have been that Amazon have put in bids for through the coronavirus is, there's a lot of pressure that we need to put on these MPs, and the way that we do that is by signing the GMB Make Amazon Pay petition, which is going to be on the website. Mick.
Well, thanks everybody. Can I just echo what Natalie said there? I really need, and so do our Amazon members, they really need your help and your support. They need you to sign that petition. They need you to send it to your MPs, and so we can put pressure more clearly into the legislators within the UK Parliament. Amazon's growing unchecked power, and its abuse of that power can only be stopped if we actually hold them to account. And that is by doing what a number of other countries are now doing, and that is starting to hold this global giant to account. So I just hope people, take that call that Natalie has been making, and other people. It will really tremendously help Amazon workers in this country. I really want to thank everybody for your time and your efforts tonight. I want to thank all the contributors. Some absolutely brilliant posts that have come in, and thank you for that. I am really lucky. I work with a fantastic group of GMB organisers. There's a lot of people in the background that never get the mention. The research and policy officers, our political team, and lots of other people. More importantly, there's a person that's operating this system who is perhaps one of the most talented people, digital people I've ever worked with. And, he's always pushing you and prodding you. So big shout out to Jack. And finally, a big shout out to Nat, the host tonight, who's done an absolutely superb job. Sister, it's always a pleasure working with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you, everybody.
Cheers. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Sign off. Have a fabulous weekend. Please stay safe. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Make Amazon pay.